The Lower Sac is certainly one of the premier tailwater fly fisheries in the United States, just by virtue of the numbers and the size of fish that are here, quality of rainbow trout. It's amazing. I fish all over the country and all over the world, and there's few places that really that have the quantity of quality fish. Phenomenal tailwater. As far as consistency, as far as numbers of fish, and again, 12 months of the year, there's really nothing like it.
We are in Redding city limits right now, below Shasta Lake, a few miles, and right here in the middle of town proper, we have some phenomenal fishing. We are out here catching some beautiful wild rainbow trout, born and raised in this river, no hatchery fish.
Lower Sac, I would dare to say, is one of the best trout rivers on the planet. The number of days that it provides, 365 days a year, world-class trout fishing. We live in one of the sunniest cities in the nation, and this river runs right through it, and so the trout fishing is always here.
There's so many different areas in the Lower Sac, and if you want to get out and wade, you can. If you want to stay in the boat, you can. If you want to chase stripers, shad, steelhead, all of it's an option on the Lower Sac.
You go further down, you got sturgeon. You go downriver a little bit to some of the creek mouths, you got big smallmouth. Just a phenomenal amount of variety here.
I would recommend the Lower Sacramento for all anglers because it offers a little bit of everything. You have great boat fishing that a beginner can go out and fish an indicator and a nymph. If they can cast 20 feet, they're going to catch some beautiful big rainbows. It's super friendly out of a drift boat for beginning anglers. Anglers can come here without any or very little fishing experience and hook fish of a lifetime. I mean multiple ones usually. If they're just starting, hooking 16 to 21-inch rainbows, that's unheard of for a beginner. And you can do it here. If you're a good angler, if you can throw long line, if you can mend well, if you can control your drift, if you can switch back and forth between nymphs and dries and emergers, if you know how to read water well, whether you're from a boat or walk wading, it can be really a lot of fun.
It's a very beginner-friendly river. You're not going to slip and fall on slippery rocks. You're not going to get your flies caught in trees. We take care of everything, flies, rods, all the equipment. It's just a phenomenal place for beginners. So it's a great place for a beginner to come and kind of get the idea of what it takes to catch a fish with a dead drift presentation.
It's great for beginners because there's so many opportunities to interact with success and interact with fish.
But people think the Lower Sacramento, and most people think it's in Redding. And understandably so, because it's a tremendous fishery up here. It has probably more large fish. However, as you go downriver, it starts to flatten a bit, and we start seeing more fish per river mile. Still some big fish, but more of those, what we consider average fish in that 14 to 17-inch range. You've lost all feeling of being in a town like you do up here in Redding. You can really see a lot of interesting, unique stuff within one river. Late 70s and early 80s, virtually no one fished it. It just wasn't much of a trout fishery back then because they didn't pay much attention to water flows out of Shasta Dam. In the middle of summer, when it's 100 degrees out, the water was warm, almost too warm for trout. They discovered that there was a pulp mill in Anderson that was dumping effluent into the river that was filled with dioxin. So they shut that down. And without dioxin, that created a much more hospitable habitat for a few of the insects and certainly for trout. The creek that comes in out of an old copper plant dumps into Keswick Lake. They realized, oh no, this stuff is dumping in horrible stuff. In fact, for a while, it was the #1 EPA Superfund site. That made a big difference. Suddenly, we started seeing all these insects we'd never seen. That transformation from an almost dead river to one of the best tailwater trout fisheries in the country has been kind of breathtaking to see.
The trout fishing is second to none, in my opinion. I could live anywhere on the planet, and I choose to live here for the sake of this river.